why did Donald Trump hang on to those documents? This is the big question that I think in a very real way, the media has been diverting us from discussing by instead talking about the weird and bizarre and arguably salacious reality of Donald Trump keeping U.S. nuclear secrets in a publicly available bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that's pretty grim. But why did he gather them in the first place? Why did Mark Meadows, presumably on behalf of Donald Trump, compile over 1,000 top secret documents the day that they left the White House? Why did Donald Trump have all these things? Finn and OToole Thom OToole is a writer for the New York Review of Books. And he makes an incredibly important point that I think is worth amplifying, and I want to do that right now on this program. He notes, secrets are a kind of currency. They can be hoarded, but if kept too long, they lose their value. Just like all currencies, they must, sooner or later, be used in a transaction, sold to the highest bidder, or bartered as a favor for which another favor will be returned. And, you know, this is so true. These documents actually had value. Donald Trump doesn't take things that don't have value. I mean, he's a hoarder, but he's not a hoarder like, you know, this is the thing that distinguishes between collectors and hoarders, right? Collectors, my dad and mom were collectors. My dad had 20,000 books in the basement. I grew up in a library, essentially. My mom collected buttons, she collected plates, she collected all kinds of stuff. Hummel figurines. My parents were collectors, but they weren't hoarders. They didn't keep old newspapers. They didn't keep empty tin cans. They didn't keep empty milk cartons. They knew the difference between something that was valuable and something that wasn't. And that's the case with Donald Trump, too. He wasn't taking these documents just because he wanted to take some documents. He was taking them because they had value. Fenton OToole goes on to say, to see the full scale of Donald Trump's betrayal of his country, it's necessary to start with this reality. He kept intelligence documents because at some point those secrets could be used in a transaction. What he was stockpiling were the materials of treason. He may not have known how or when he would cash in his currency, but there can be little doubt that he was determined to retain the ability to do just that. But instead of asking this question, you know, how much value did these documents have? Who would have paid for them? Would Saudi Arabia have paid $2 billion for some of these documents that Donald Trump stole? I think the answer is fairly obviously yes. And it looks like maybe they did. How much would Russia have paid for these documents? How much did they pay for these documents? Were the documents the payoff in exchange for Russia putting Donald Trump in office? Was that the conversation that Trump and Vladimir Putin had on June 9th, 2017 in Helsinki, when they went off into a private room and the translator was told to go sit in the other side of the room, and Vladimir Putin, I believe, leaned over and said to Donald Trump, you know, I put you in the White House. You owe me. And now I want to know the names of the American spies in Russia. Did that happen? Well, a week later, Donald Trump went to the head of the his director of national intelligence and said, I want a complete list of all American spies. The CIA pulled our top intelligence asset out of Russia. He was close enough to Putin that he could photograph documents on Putin's desk. And the CIA pulled them out in the first year of the Trump administration because they realized that Trump had this relationship with Putin that was very, very dangerous to our spies. And then after Trump asked for this list of spies, months afterwards, we discover, the New York Times wrote about this in 2021, we discover months after Trump got that list of spies that the CIA reported that spies around the world, but particularly in Russia, were suddenly dying. They were being assassinated. They were falling off tall buildings. They were being pushed in front of subway cars. I think these were a currency. OToole goes on to say, Trump cared a great deal about the value of the documents. He cared enough, per the indictment, to suggest that his attorney lied to the FBI and a grand jury about what papers he did or did not have. Even Trump did not engage in a criminal conspiracy purely for its own sake. The retention of those boxes mattered to him because he understood the market value of what they contained. Which makes it all the more astonishing that most of the Republican Party is fine with this, writes OToole. And that's astonishing to me, too, because it's true. The Republican Party is just, oh, yeah, Trump took some documents, so what? Really?